If I were to tell you who the top 10 wide receivers are in the NFL based on average yearly salary, a lot of the names would not shock you. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like the main suspects are there at the top of the list. But at number 10 now, Alec Pierce, after getting a massive $114 million deal to stay in Indianapolis. And a lot of people are going to say that Alec Pierce is not worth that type of money, and I don't really think that it's a bad argument. I have nothing against Alec Pierce. I really like Alec Pierce. Each of the last 2 seasons, he has led the NFL in average yards per reception, with over 20 yards per reception in each of the last 2 seasons. This past year, even though he missed a couple of games, he still had over 1,000 receiving yards, and he's becoming one of the best big play wide receivers and deep threats in the NFL. That is a lot of money, though. So when they signed Alec Pierce, my initial reaction video really based around the fact is who's going to be the quarterback, but there's a lot of mouths to feed now. Well, right after that, it was announced that Michael Pittman is being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now that's one less wide receiver that Alec Pierce is going to have to deal with. And it may be what Alec Pierce needs to actually have his major breakout season. Now, I'm not going to talk about Michael Pittman in this video. There's going to be another video coming later that's going to talk about Michael Pittman and Rico Dowdle going to the Steelers and what it means for that offense, because we're still waiting to hear about who the quarterback is going to be in Pittsburgh. But for now, let's focus on the Colts and what Pierce and Pittman mean moving forward. Well, one of the big questions for the Colts is going to be one of the biggest questions also for the Steelers that we just mentioned. Who's going to be the quarterback in 2026? The Colts decided that they were going to put on the transition tag to Daniel Jones, which means he could get an offer from another team. And if the Colts decided not to match that, they would get compensation for it in the form of draft picks. However, it sounds like they want to get a long-term deal done with Daniel Jones. But even if they do, he's going to be returning from an Achilles injury. So how long is it going to take him to recover? Who's going to be the quarterback this year? Is it going to be Riley Leonard? Are they going to look at a different veteran? Do they have some insider knowledge to how quickly Daniel Jones could return? There's a lot of question marks with that. And one quick point that I want to make when it comes to Alec Pierce, 4 of his 6 touchdowns last season came in 2 of the last 3 weeks of the year with Phillip Rivers and, before mentioned, Riley Leonard, not Daniel Jones. But moving Michael Pittman is great for Alec Pierce, because the one reason Alec Pierce has not turned into a fantasy stud at this point is because of the fact is he was kind of lost in the shuffle. Michael Pittman was still kind of the main wide receiver. You had Josh Downs who would make plays from time to time. Tyler Warren is there now, and of course, Jonathan Taylor in the backfield who can catch the ball and run the ball with the best of them. So where was all the volume going to come from? Or was Alec Pierce going to be more like Jameson Williams, a guy that is going to have some big games from time to time, but because of all the offensive weapons around him, he just wasn't going to be consistent? Well, at this point, I'm not certain that I want to go ahead and go all in on Alec Pierce being this consistent option. However, he's being paid like a top wide receiver, so I can't imagine that they're not going to utilize him as such. And on top of that, because he's one of the best big play and deep threats in all the NFL, he has the ability to strike at any point in time. Trading Michael Pittman is going to free up quite a bit of targets. And while Tyler Warren will still need targets, and so will Josh Downs, I can't imagine either of them running away with target share and Alec Pierce not being towards the top of this team. I don't think we're going to see Alec Pierce finish 3rd in targets on this team anymore. It is very viable that he could finish at 1 or 2. Tyler Warren or Josh Downs, maybe one of them or 1 or 2 as well, but Alec Pierce has to be towards the top. You can't pay that guy that type of money and not have a plan to utilize him more as a number 1 wide receiver. So in the grand scheme of things, Alec Pierce returning to Indianapolis at this point seems like a really good problem to have, even if you have too many wide receivers or pass catchers. But Alec Pierce for me is going to be a guy that has wide receiver 1 potential every single week. This is a guy who just on 1 or 2 catches could find himself inside the top 12. But the consistency will still be the question mark for me. Can he consistently be a top 12 wide receiver? That I'm not ready to buy into. Do I still think he could be a top 24 wide receiver? Yes, I do. I really think his floor is Jameson Williams with Detroit, because Jameson Williams is going to be a lot like Alec Pierce. He's going to have some really big games, and then he's going to disappear in some other games, which is going to make his volatility in redraft leagues not your most favorite thing in the world. But his ceiling is more like a top 12 wide receiver, where I don't think Jameson Williams earns that, because Jameson Williams is not going to be the number one target for the Detroit Lions anytime soon. And with the pass catchers around him, especially when Sam Laporta gets healthy, then at that point you're running into issues getting him consistent targets. Because of what Alec Pierce is now being paid, and because they traded Michael Pittman to clear cap space and allow the opportunity to even sign Alec Pierce, he is going to probably be the number one target on this team. So his path to more upside is way better than what Williams is. Josh Downs, I think, could find himself as a top 36 wide receiver, maybe more of a PPR type of guy. Who's going to be kind of a red zone threat? Will it be Alec Pierce or will it be Josh Downs? Because that seems to be Josh Downs. So he could really rely on getting his fantasy points from touchdowns in the red zone. Tyler Warren, I would still expect him to be a top 5 wide receiver. This makes things a little bit easier on him, and I think it makes him a little bit of a safer tight end as well, after seeing him kind of dip last season after Daniel Jones went down with his injury. And for Jonathan Taylor, I think keeping Alec Pierce in town was way more beneficial to Jonathan Taylor than Michael Pittman, because Alec Pierce's ability to stretch the field, draw safeties down the field to help out over the top and keep him out of the box is going to allow Jonathan Taylor to be a top 5 running back once again, which is where I will have him. And if anything changes with the quarterback situation, we'll update that later on. As of right now, we could fluctuate either way with some of these rankings, because we still don't know who the quarterback is going to be for Indianapolis when we get to week 1 in 2026. However, there's a quick breakdown of what I think could end up happening with the Indianapolis Colts after signing Alec Pierce to a major contract. Hit the like button for me, subscribe if you're new here, and turn on the bell notifications, because we're dropping content all throughout the free agent period, and you want to be in on the breaking news when we give you our breakdown. Stay safe and healthy. I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.